I'm Emma Richardson, 29 years old. 3 months ago at our annual family reunion in Lake Geneva, Wisconsin, I stood in front of 87 relatives and played a recording that destroyed my parents' reputation in exactly 4 minutes and 37 seconds. What they didn't know was that I'd been documenting their abuse for 6 years, and that the inheritance they'd been stealing from me was worth $4.2 million. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Before I continue, please take a moment to like and subscribe, but only if you genuinely want to know how this story ends. Drop a comment telling me where you're watching from and what time it is there. Now let me take you back to where this all began. My earliest memory is from when I was 4 years old. My mother, Patricia Richardson, was hosting one of her famous garden parties at our house in Winnetka, Illinois, the kind where she'd serve mimosas and crystal flutes and everyone would compliment her roses. I'd spilled grape juice on my white dress, and she looked at me with this expression I'd come to know so well: disgust mixed with exhaustion. "God, Emma," she said to her friend Linda while I stood right there. "Sometimes I wonder what we did to deserve such a burden." That word, burden, it became my nickname, not in a cute way, not like pumpkin or sweetheart. When my parents' friends would ask, "How's Emma doing?" my father, Richard Richardson, would chuckle and say, "Oh, you know the burden, always finding new ways to disappoint us." Everyone would laugh. I learned to laugh too, even though something inside me cracked a little more each time. My brother, Michael, was 2 years older than me. Golden Child doesn't even begin to cover it. Michael got a BMW 3 Series for his 16th birthday. I got a used Honda Civic with 140,000 miles on it, and had to pay for half of it myself from my grocery store job. Michael's college tuition to Northwestern University, fully paid, including a $2,500 monthly allowance. Mine? We believe in the value of student loans, Emma. It builds character. I graduated from University of Illinois with $87,000 in debt. Michael failed out of 2 internships and Dad still got him a position at his investment firm, Richardson Capital Management. When I graduated summa cum laude with a degree in computer science and got a job offer from a tech startup in Chicago, my mother said, "That's nice, dear. Try not to mess it up this time." This time. As if I had a history of failure. But here's what they didn't know. I was good at my job, really good. By 25, I was leading a development team. By 27, I was director of technology. I bought my own condo in Lincoln Park, a modest 1-bedroom for $385,000 that I was proud of. I never told them how much I made, around $180,000 a year, because the few times I'd tried to share good news, it was met with either disbelief or immediate comparisons to Michael. "Michael just closed a deal worth $500,000, Dad would say, not even acknowledging what I'd just told him. Though the family dynamics were clear. Michael was the future, I was the burden. Mom and Dad were the benevolent parents who stuck by me despite my apparent inadequacy. Every holiday, every birthday, every family gathering was a performance where I played the role of grateful failure. They paid for Michael's wedding to his college sweetheart Ashley, a $75,000 affair at the Drake Hotel with 250 guests. When I got engaged to my boyfriend of 3 years, Jake Morrison, and asked if they'd contribute anything, Mom said, "Emma, we already spent so much on Michael's wedding. Besides, doesn't Jake's family have money? Let them handle it." Jake's family owned a small restaurant. They were lovely people, but they weren't wealthy. We paid for our own wedding. Courthouse ceremony, dinner at Gibson Steakhouse for 20 people. It cost us $4,200 total. Mom didn't come because she had a headache. Dad came but left after 30 minutes because he had an important call. That was 4 years ago. Jake and I were happy though. We built a life that had nothing to do with my family. I saw them maybe 4 times a year, holidays mostly. Always left feeling smaller. Everything changed on June 15th of this year. I got a call from a number I didn't recognize. Normally I don't answer those, but something made me pick up. "Hello, is this Emma Richardson Morrison?" A woman's voice, professional but warm. "Yes, speaking." "Mrs. Morrison, my name is Jennifer Caldwell. I'm an attorney with Caldwell and Associates in Lake Forest. I'm calling regarding the estate of your grandmother, Dorothy Richardson." My heart stopped. Grandma Dorothy had died when I was 18, 11 years ago. I'd been close to her, or as close as my parents allowed. She'd always seemed sad when she looked at me, like she wanted to say something but couldn't. "I'm sorry," I said. "My grandmother passed away in 2014. Her estate was settled years ago." "Yes, I'm aware. Mrs. Morrison, this is going to be difficult to hear, but I need you to come to my office as soon as possible. There's been a significant issue with how your grandmother's estate was handled, specifically with a trust that was established in your name." The floor tilted. "What trust?" "I'd prefer to discuss this in person. Can you come to Lake Forest tomorrow, say 2 p.m.? I took a half day off work. Jake came with me, sensing this was important. Jennifer Caldwell's office was in a restored Victorian house on Western Avenue. She was maybe 50, with kind eyes and an iPad full of documents that were about to blow my life apart. "Emma," she started, pouring me water I didn't remember asking for. "Your grandmother established a trust for you when you were born. It was initially funded with $250,000, and over the years she added more. By the time of her death, the trust was worth approximately $2.1 million. I couldn't grab my hand. I never received anything. "I know, that's why I called. Your grandmother stipulated that the trust would be given to you in installments. $500,000 at age 18, $600,000 at age 25, and the remainder at age 30. However, when she died, your parents were listed as your legal guardians, even though you were 18, and they were made temporary trustees until you turned 21. I never knew about any of this. I'm writing this because I need you to know the truth, even if I'm not brave enough to tell you while I'm alive. You were always treated differently, my darling girl, and it killed me to watch. Your parents never wanted a second child. Patricia had complications after Michael, and they were told she couldn't have more children. They made peace with having one son. Then you came along, a surprise pregnancy at 41. They resented you from the beginning. I tried to intervene, tried to make them see how special you are, but they'd already decided you were an inconvenience. I created this trust for you because I wanted you to have security, independence, freedom. I wanted you to know that at least one person in this family saw your worth. I hope your parents proved me wrong. I hope they loved you the way you deserved. But if they didn't, if you're reading this and you're still the forgotten child, know that I saw you, I loved you, and you were never ever a burden. All my love, Grandma Dorothy." I sobbed in that office for 20 minutes. Jake held me while Jennifer discreetly worked on her computer. When I could finally speak, I asked, "What can we do?" Jennifer's smile was sharp. "We can do a lot, Emma. This is elder fraud, identity theft, forgery, and embezzlement. I've already contacted the FBI. They'll want to speak with you. We're also filing civil suits to recover the full amount plus damages. I estimate you're looking at $6 million after legal proceedings. Will they go to jail? If we can prove criminal intent, and based on these documents we can. Yes. We're looking at 10 to 20 years in federal prison for fraud of this magnitude. I know some of you watching have been through something similar, where family members you trusted destroyed that trust in the worst possible way. If this is resonating with you, drop a comment below. Let me know you're here, and if you want to know what happened next, because trust me, this gets intense, make sure you're subscribed." I didn't confront them immediately. Jennifer advised me to gather more evidence, build an airtight case, so I did something I'd never done before. I went on the offensive. I started recording every interaction with my parents. Illinois is a two-party consent state, but I made sure they knew I was recording. I'd casually say, "Hold on, let me put my phone on speaker," and place it face up between us. They never suspected I was documenting their words. I asked innocent questions. "Hey Dad, remember when Grandma Dorothy died? Did she leave anything for me? Why would she? You were just a kid, Em. Everything went to your mother and me as it should have. What about that trust she supposedly set up?" His face barely changed. "What trust? Where'd you hear that?" "I just thought I remembered her mentioning something. Your grandmother barely had any money, Emma. Don't go creating fantasies. Recorded, saved, backed up to 3 different cloud services. I did the same with Mom. Asked about the renovations, the lake house, Michael's wedding. We worked hard for what we have, Emma. Not that you'd understand. You've always been so focused on yourself." Every conversation confirmed what Jennifer had told me. They knew exactly what they'd done. The FBI opened an investigation. Special Agent Marcus Webb was assigned to the case. He was maybe 40, former military, and when he saw the evidence he said, "Mrs. Morrison, this is one of the clearest cases of familial fraud I've seen. Your parents didn't just steal from you, they systematically erased your grandmother's wishes and your legal rights. What happens now? We're building a case for the U.S. Attorney's Office. We'll likely execute a warrant for documents and computer files, but I'll be honest, these cases can take months or even years. Your parents will hire expensive lawyers. They'll claim it was a misunderstanding. That your grandmother wanted them to manage the money for you. That you were irresponsible. I have recordings of them lying about the trust's existence." He smiled. "I know. That's why we're going to win." The family reunion was scheduled for August 10th at my parents' lake house in Lake Geneva. It's an annual tradition, both sides of the family, about 90 people total. A whole weekend of boating and barbecues and my parents playing the role of successful, generous hosts. I almost didn't go. Jake said we could skip it, that I didn't owe them anything. But Jennifer had a different idea. "Emma, the FBI won't make arrests until September at the earliest, but if you want to control the narrative, If you want your family to hear the truth from you before it hits the news, this reunion might be your only chance. So I planned. God help me, I planned. I created a 12-minute audio presentation. It included Grandma Dorothy's letter read in my voice, recorded clips of my parents denying the trust existed, bank transfer records shown as screenshots, Jennifer's legal summary, the FBI case number 2024-842 Fed. I practiced it 40 times, cried through it 30% of those. Jake kept asking if I was sure. Once you do this, there's no going back. There's already no going back, I said. They stole from me for 11 years. They called me a burden for 25. I'm done being quiet. August 10th was disgustingly beautiful. Sunny, 78 degrees, perfect Wisconsin summer weather. The lake house was packed. Aunts, uncles, cousins, second cousins, family friends. Mom had outdone herself with the spread. Catered barbecue from the Point, a full bar, a chocolate fountain. All paid for with my inheritance. Michael and Ashley were there with their 2 kids. Dad was holding court by the grill telling some story that had everyone laughing. Mom was taking photos for her Facebook album. I arrived at 2 p.m. with Jake and a small portable speaker that connected to my phone. "Emma," Mom called out, waving. "You made it. I was starting to think you'd forgotten about us." Classic passive aggression. I smiled. "Wouldn't miss it, Mom." "Did you bring anything for the potluck?" I'd been asked to bring a side dish which I'd forgotten intentionally. "No, sorry, I've had a lot on my mind," she sighed dramatically. "Of course. Well, there's plenty of food at least." I spent the first hour being invisible, like always. Relatives asked about Michael's promotion, Michael's new house in Hinsdale, Michael's kids' private school. When anyone asked me how I was, the conversation never lasted more than 30 seconds before someone redirected it. At 3:15 p.m., Dad clinked his beer bottle to get everyone's attention. Time for his annual speech about family and legacy and how blessed they all were to be Richardsons. "Before Dad starts," I said loudly, standing up, "I have something I'd like to share, a family announcement." Everyone turned. Mom looked annoyed. Dad looked confused. "Emma, this really isn't the time." Mom started. "It'll just take 12 minutes, I said, holding up my phone. "It's important. It's about Grandma Dorothy." That got their attention. Grandma Dorothy was beloved by everyone, my father's mother, the matriarch who'd held the family together. I connected my phone to the speaker. My hands were shaking so badly that Jake had to help me. "What is this?" Dad asked, his voice tight. "Just listen." I pressed play. My recorded voice filled the backyard. "My name is Emma Richardson Morrison. I'm 29 years old. For 25 years my parents called me the burden. For 11 years they've been stealing from me. This is the truth about my grandmother's trust and what my parents did to me." I watched my father's face drain of color. Mom's hand flew to her mouth. The recording played Grandma Dorothy's letter. You could have heard a pin drop. Several relatives were crying by the end of it. Then came the bank records, the transfer statements, the forged documents, Jennifer's voice explaining the legal definitions of fraud and embezzlement, then the recordings of my parents lying to me, Dad's voice saying, "Your grandmother barely had any money," Mom saying, "Don't go creating fantasies." Then Agent Webb's voice, "FBI case 2024-842 Fed. We are investigating Richard and Patricia Richardson for felony fraud, identity theft, and embezzlement of $4.2 million from their daughter's trust fund." 12 minutes, an eternity, when Amit Sevenquadar found his voice first. "I have some kind of quietly, but everyone heard. I have 6 months of evidence. I have the FBI's case file. I have the civil suit that was filed 3 days ago. You have been served. You just haven't checked your mail." Mom was crying now, mascara running. "How could you do this to us, in front of everyone?" "How could I?" My voice cracked. "How could I? You stole $4.2 million from me. You used my inheritance to pay for Michael's wedding, to buy this house, to fund your retirement, and you called me a burden for 25 years while you did it." Michael stood up, face red. "Emma, there has to be an explanation." "The explanation is that your parents are criminals," Jake said, standing beside me. "And if you defended them knowing what they did, you'd be complicit." "I didn't know," Michael said, and he actually looked horrified. "I swear to God, Emma, I didn't know." I believed him. Michael was self-absorbed, not cruel. My Aunt Sarah, Dad's sister, stood up, her face was hard. "Richard, is this true?" Dad opened his mouth, closed it, opened it again. "It's complicated." "It's not complicated," I said. "You stole from your daughter. You forged documents claiming I was mentally incompetent. You erased our grandmother's dying wish. You are criminals." Uncle Tom, Mom's brother, was already on his phone. "I'm a lawyer, Patty. Jesus Christ, what did you do?" The crowd erupted, everyone talking at once. Some relatives were yelling at my parents, some were asking me questions. Some were just standing there in shock. Mom tried to approach me. Emma, please, if we could just talk privately. No, I stepped back. You lost that privilege when you stole from me. The FBI will arrest you within the next month. You're facing 10 to 20 years in federal prison. Every asset you purchased with my money will be seized. The lake house, the renovations, all of it. I'm getting it all back. You'd send your own parents to prison? Dad's voice was broken. You sent yourself to prison the moment you forged my signature. I turned to the crowd. I'm sorry to ruin the reunion, but I needed you all to hear the truth from me. My parents are not who you think they are. They're frauds, and I'm done protecting their reputation. Jake and I left. Behind us I could hear shouting, crying, chaos. I felt nothing, just relief. What would you do in this situation? Comment 1 if you'd have exposed them publicly like I did, or 2 if you'd have handled it quietly through the courts. I want to know how you'd have played it. The arrests happened on September 3rd. FBI agents showed up at my parents' house at 6 a.m. with a warrant. They were taken into custody and charged with wire fraud, identity theft, theft of government funds, elder abuse. Bail was set at $500,000 each. They had to liquidate their retirement accounts to post it. The civil suit moved faster than the criminal case. By October, a judge had frozen all their assets pending the investigation. The lake house was seized. Their primary residence had a lien placed on it. Dad's retirement accounts were emptied to begin repaying me. Michael called me 2 weeks after the arrests. Emma, I need you to know I had no idea. None. I thought they paid for my wedding with their own money. They did pay with their own money, I said. They just stole that money from me first. I'm sorry, God, Em, I'm so sorry. If I'd known, would you have stopped them? Silence. I don't know, he finally said, and I hate myself for that. At least he was honest. The family splintered. About half cut off my parents completely. The other half gave them the benefit of the doubt, claiming there must be more to the story. Aunt Sarah started a family group chat without my parents in it, and made me feel more welcome than I'd felt in years. The trial was scheduled for March of the following year. Jennifer was confident we'd win both the criminal and civil cases. Your parents are going to prison, Emma, she said during one of our meetings. The evidence is overwhelming. The only question is for how long. In November, 5 months after the reunion, I got a letter from my mother. It was sent through her attorney. Jake wanted me to throw it away, but I opened it. Emma, I don't expect you to forgive me. I don't even know if I can forgive myself. But I need you to understand that we never meant to hurt you. When your grandmother died, we were struggling financially. Your father's firm was barely breaking even. We had debts. And there was this money, just sitting there. Money you didn't even know about. We told ourselves we'd pay it back. We told ourselves we were investing it for you. That we'd give you even more eventually. But years passed. The money became ours in our minds. We justified it. We told ourselves you were doing fine, that you didn't need it, that we'd done enough by raising you. I know how we treated you was wrong. The things we said, the way we dismissed you. I don't know when it started or why we couldn't stop. Maybe we resented you for existing when we hadn't planned for you. Maybe we were just terrible parents. You deserved better. You deserved the money, the love, the respect. I'm sorry we called you a burden. You were never a burden. You were a gift we were too blind to see. I know I'm going to prison. I know our lives are over. I just needed you to know that I'm sorry. Mom. I read it 3 times. Cried. Then filed it with the rest of the evidence. Sorry doesn't give me back 11 years. Sorry doesn't erase 25 years of emotional abuse. Sorry doesn't undo the damage. But at least she finally admitted the truth. The trial concluded on March 18, 2026. 9 months after I found out the truth. The jury deliberated for 6 hours, guilty on all counts. My father was sentenced to 15 years in federal prison. My mother got 12 years because she cooperated with the prosecution. With good behavior they might serve 10 and 8 respectively. They're 64 and 62 years old. They'll be in their 70s when they get out. The civil judgment awarded me $6.3 million, the original $4.2 million plus damages, interest and legal fees paid by my parents. The lake house was sold. Their primary residence was sold. Their retirement accounts were emptied. They have nothing left. I didn't feel victorious, I just felt tired. But here's what I did with the money. First, I paid off my student loans, all $87,000. Clicked that final payment button and cried. Second, I paid off Jake's restaurant family's mortgage. They'd sacrificed so much for us. That was $140,000. Third, I started a scholarship fund in Grandma Dorothy's name for first-generation college students. $1 million endowment. Fourth, I bought my dream house in Evanston, a Victorian fixer-upper that I'm slowly renovating. It's mine. Actually mine. The rest is invested, growing, secure. I also started therapy. Twice a week at first, now once a week. I'm learning that being called the burden for 25 years doesn't go away overnight. I'm learning that I'm allowed to be angry, I'm allowed to grieve the parents I deserved but never had. Jake and I are trying for a baby. If we have a daughter, we might name her Dorothy. Michael and I talk once a month now. He's in therapy too, dealing with guilt and his own realization of how he was weaponized against me. We're not close, but we're trying. My parents write letters every few weeks from their respective federal facilities. I don't read them. Maybe someday I will. But not today. The relatives who doubted me have slowly come around as the facts became public. Some have apologized. I've accepted some of those apologies. Others I haven't. I learned something through all of this. Your worth is not determined by how your family treats you. I spent 29 years thinking I was the problem, that I was somehow fundamentally flawed, that I deserved the way they treated me. But I wasn't the problem. They were, and realizing that was worth more than $6.3 million. If you've made it this far, thank you. If this story touched you, hit that like button. Subscribe for more stories like this. And remember, you don't owe anyone your silence. Not your parents, not your family, not anyone who has hurt you. The truth is its own justice. The recording I played at that family reunion destroyed my parents' lives in 12 minutes. But it gave me mine back, and that's worth everything.